Hello, everybody. Welcome back to LODEpay Media. I'm interviewing today none other than regular guest Dan Wasyluk, CEO of Blockchain Foundry. Dan, it's always a pleasure having you with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Of course. So big update coming for Syscoin in the near future here, and I wanted to be among the first to get the word out to our community. Give us the lowdown. What is the Syscoin 4.2 update all about?
Yeah, so the Syscoin 4.2 Lux update is really focused on changing the fundamental model behind Syscoin to one that is more aligned with Bitcoin. We used to have a token model that was very similar to Ethereum, and we found ways to optimize for both speed and cost by moving back to a model that is more like Bitcoin's. Now, in addition to that, there are a lot of feature enhancements and optimizations that are coming with Syscoin 4.2 as well, and that I think is what the community is really going to be excited about.
So this model, what makes it more in line with how Bitcoin is versus the platform model that you were just talking about?
Yeah, so a really simple way of describing it is within Ethereum, when you have different ERC20 tokens, the way that those tokens are accounted for is using a really simple account-based system, right? If I send one to you, it takes one away from my account and adds one to your account. That system works okay, but Bitcoin has a different system called an unspent transaction output system. And the way that works is by ascribing amounts of value to certain outputs. And then, so say I have an output worth 2, and then I want to send you 1, it'll break that into 2 outputs, send you 1, and then return 1 to me, right? And that transactional model allows for a certain level of security that is not present in Ethereum. And it also allows for double spend protection, which is really critical for us as it pertains to our ZDAG technology. And so by returning to a UTXO, is what unspent transaction output based model is sometimes referred to as. By returning to a UTXO based model, we are now able to enhance ZDAG with the ability to respend your tokens within 10 seconds of receiving them. So how ZDAG worked before was if you didn't have any transactions in flight at all, you could spend tokens within 10 seconds of receiving them. Now you're able to spend those tokens within 10 seconds of receiving them, regardless of if you have transactions in flight or not. And that's all made possible by essentially leveraging what's called DAG architecture, directed acyclic graph, applied to Bitcoin's mempool on top of its UTXO model. So it's a lot of technical bits there, but what it means for the users is the ability to move money faster with the same amount of security as before.
Fantastic. I mean, that definitely paints a clear picture for me and also gives me a lot of learning to do, and I love to learn. So thank you for that, Dan. Now, this isn't the only sort of advancement that you're making with the protocol, correct? I think we were talking a little bit before the show about how there are potential applications for things like non-fungible tokens.
That's right. One of the big things that that's being rolled out with the 4.2 Lux update is non-fungible tokens on Syscoin. And so for people who don't know what non-fungible tokens are, the easiest way to think about them is like digital collectibles that you can validate through the blockchain. And why that's really valuable is because now not only can you validate that a collectible is legitimate, but you also have unique additional data that can be attached to that collectible, such as provenance data. And so, an example I like to bring up is like, imagine you have the 1992 basketball that Michael Jordan used to play in the NBA playoffs, right? And let's say they won that year, right? That basketball has a lot of value when you can validate that it's the real ball that came from the game that Jordan used, right? Right. That ball becomes more valuable when you can say that not only is it the real basketball from that game, but because of the blockchain provenance data that's now added to it by virtue of it being converted to an NFT, you can see that a famous actor owned the ball, and then Joe Schmo owned the ball, and then Ariana Grande owned the ball, and now you own the ball. And so you have that additional sort of value of the provenance of the item, in addition to also being able to validate that it is the real item and it's not fraudulent, all that kind of thing. What's cool about how that relates to sort of silver and the precious metal ecosystem is that everybody understands the value of raw precious metal, right? Raw silver or raw gold. What NFTs start to bring into the picture is when you start to process that raw material into something unique, like a silver Christopher Columbus dollar or something like that, or a silver eagle, then the asset starts to take on more value than its raw asset value, right? Like a silver eagle is worth more, technically speaking, than just the silver that it's printed on, right? It has like a collectible value. Certain ones may have misprints, all that kind of stuff. So you can now start to create that kind of system on the blockchain for digital collectibles. So you could start to have a digital silver eagle, only 10 of which are minted, and those are backed by a certain value of silver and the collectible value of silver eagles, right? And so that's something that's coming to the Syscoin platform. And a way it's a little bit different than what you might find on Ethereum or other platforms is Syscoin's implementation of non-fungible tokens is much more extensible than other implementations, in that you can send non-fungible tokens and regular tokens in one transaction, saving users money. But also the base implementation of NFTs is more cost efficient to begin with, right? So even creating an NFT on Syscoin is far cheaper than Ethereum.
I mean, I'm really excited for this stuff. Growing up, I was very much into collectibles, trading card games. Also, the concept to me makes a ton of sense, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this update and how we can apply it to the project. Now, that being said, this 4.2 update, there is some caution. Be advised to Syscoin holders and by virtue of that AGX and AUX holders. In order to make sure we all have a successful update to 4.2, what should users do?
So we've worked really hard to make sure that this update is pretty seamless for users. So what always happens when we go through a core blockchain update is we have to have people stop transacting on the network as a major upgrade happens. And so what users will experience is, as we start to roll this out, you'll see that you'll get a message in your wallet saying the network is undergoing an upgrade. Please wait for the new release to be fully published before continuing to transact. And we'll actually prevent you from using the LODEpay wallet for your own safety, so you don't lose funds or anything in that period. Then, that period typically lasts an hour or two. Once the network has been upgraded, we will be publishing a new version of the LODEpay wallet to app stores, and you'll basically get a notification right there in your application that a new version is now available. You'll be prompted to go download it, install it. There's no reset up or anything needed. It installs right over your old wallet, just like old updates, and then open up the wallet and you'll be good to go.
Fantastic. So basically, at the end of the day, it's when the call goes out for the 4.2 upgrade, just need to stop trading altogether. Don't send AGX to your friends, and we are going to take the liberty of locking down the app for just a couple hours while this very important update takes place.
Yep.
Dan, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're a busy man. We really appreciate you coming on the show and letting people know what's going on.
No problem. One other thing I did want to mention, because this is another really valuable feature for the Lode community, is a service that is being integrated in this 4.2 release. We call it the notary service. And what it allows for is it allows for all AUX, AGX, Syscoin, and other token transactions as well on the Syscoin network to have off-chain rule sets applied to them. And this is really big for the Lode community because it now will allow Lode to expand into other locales and even possibly, explore different ways of issuing the Lode token. Because now that we can apply these permissioned rule sets to a public permissionless blockchain, there are ways that the project is currently utilizing Hyperledger that we may be able to shift over to Syscoin now that these permissioned rule sets can be applied. And so, that's something that we're excited about because we're trying to work towards making those load tokens more portable, and having them on Hyperledger is limiting, but it's a necessary component of the ecosystem right now due to regulations and securities laws and all that kind of thing. With the new notary service, it does open the door to possibly allowing for, peer-to-peer transfers or sending of load tokens on a public permissionless blockchain, but while following the rules that Lode outlines in their, business rules at a notary level. So some really interesting stuff coming for the community, and I'm excited to see kind of how it plays out over 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, 2021 has already been a really exciting year.
Yeah.
Very excited about our first exchange listing as well is coming up.
Yeah.
Which I think was an introduction that came through Blockchain Foundry as well. And you guys are great partners with us over the past few years. So Dan, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and take care.
Thanks, Nick. Have a good one.